Hello, my name's Kerry from Multidimensional Quantum Healing. Thought I'd just share that I've completed a 3-day dry fast. I thought I'd just share my experience around that. So I heard about the dry fast after I'd done a water fast. So I was looking at a water fast to cleanse my body, as we do to detox our cells. And the water fast just didn't quite shift what I wanted to shift. And then the realization that we can actually do dry fast, which is no food, no water. And it's interesting because we are kind of in the perception of like, if we don't drink any water in 3 days, we'll be dead. So there is a lot of like mental energy that has to come into a balance to go into this. And you have to really want to do it as well. So I really had this massive urge that, okay, I really want to do this. So with the dry fast, you actually don't even feel hungry at all. I actually found it a lot easier than the water fast. With the water fast, I felt like every time I felt hungry, I'd be drinking water and then I'd actually feel weaker. With the dry fast, I actually didn't feel like I needed, well, I did feel like I wanted a drink, but it wasn't like your massive, like I need a drink. It was like this kind of feeling that you get in your throat of like, I could really do with some water right now. But it's kind of like, again, it's the mental energy takes over that, and you actually have zero hunger whatsoever. So this small feeling of like having a thirst was so much easier to deal with. And I found that well, on the way to doing the 3-day dry fast, I actually did a prep day where I just ate fruit and I just drank coconut water and I ultra hydrated my body the day before. And then I stopped drinking and eating anything by 4 o'clock on that day. And then I didn't eat again then for 3 days. So from the 4 p.m. mark. And I found it was day one was really easy. I found that I could not, I was like, oh, I better, not do too much. But I found myself just cleaning. And I don't know if it's like the fact that you're cleaning your body. I just wanted to clean. So I cleaned out my children's room. I cleaned out the spare room. I cleaned out drawers within my kitchen. And this was after, so I woke up in the morning and went for an hour walk with my dog through and down the river, came back, and then I just went on clean. And it was interesting because I didn't have to stop to eat or drink. So I just continued. And I actually, strangely enough, was doing all of that till about 4 p.m. that day. So that was my day one. But it is actually quite a good idea to get rid of as much glucose in the body that is stored in the muscles. So I suppose me just doing and doing, and it was quite light, I suppose, because you're just moving from room to room, cleaning. So yeah, my day one was really easy. Definitely felt like by day two, and I was doing where you can sit in the bath and hydrate through the skin with no drops in the mouth. And I did do it where I just did, you're not supposed to really, but I brushed my teeth, but just with water. And that was all, but didn't swallow any of the water, made sure all the water was out my mouth. So that was kind of the process I went through each day. And on the second day, when I went through a walk with the dog, I found that when I got home, I actually did notice that I was more breathless, like to get going. I was a bit like, oh gosh, I'm out of breath. It was really an interesting feeling. But I did feel overall okay. Even though I was a little bit out of breath before my walk began, I just walked a little bit slower and still did the full walk with my dog, which is a big loop around the river and back. But it was when I got home from that walk on day two that I literally felt sick. And I was like, oh my goodness, I feel like I want to throw up. And I was literally stood over the toilet dry heaving. And I'm like, why do I feel so sick? And the message was, it's full of your toxins in the body. And I'm like, oh, of course it is. And by walking, it was like all that toxins that was getting moved out of the lymphatics, out of wherever it was stored in my legs, in my hips, wherever else in my body. And it was being dumped out to be cleansed. So I felt like, and the sickness didn't last very long. And then I went on with my day, felt way more drained. Like I reckon day two was probably the worst. And I didn't really, it was like my mind was, it's like you're ultra focused and ultra in your body. And ultra in the present moment is all I can experience. It's like you can't, the dry fast pulls you so much into the present moment, you almost don't you don't have any perception of future. Well, this is kind of how my experience was. It was like everything was in the now, and it was like you couldn't really think too far ahead. It was weird, a weird experience, but I didn't actually find it too uncomfortable. Just a little bit more boring, really, because I'm very active. I love to go out and do stuff. But I did find that even when I was walking my dog in the morning, I didn't want to speak to people. I became like, when I went to speak, it was like exhausting because all the like moisture was just losing itself from my breath. So I was a little bit of a hermit for the 3 days on this dry fast. And then when I woke up, oh, actually, in the end, I slept really bad. Like the first morning, slept amazing, had like the best sleep. And then on the second night, I could not sleep at all. I went to bed at my normal time and was just wide awake. I remember the last time I looked at the clock, it was midnight. And then I woke up and I looked at the clock again, it was 4 a.m. And then I couldn't get back to sleep. So I did like 4 hours and that was it. And literally just lay there till 5. And then I was like, well, might as well just walk the dog while it's cool, because over here in Perth, Australia, it's been at least 34 to 35 degrees every day. And yeah, we're drinking no water. It's a bit different, I suppose. It wouldn't be probably the ideal situation. But it seems to have gone okay. And then when I went into day 3, I was like, do I really want to do that walk with the dog or not? And I was like, well, I need to move. But I'll just walk really slow. So I walked really slow with the dog down the river and back. And I remember a few times where I was literally actually stopped on a walk on a fence, and I was literally like out of breath. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so out of breath. Bizarre. But I did notice my water excretion actually stopped for the first 2 days, but then on day 3, it was low. So it was actually the body starts to metabolize fat and get the water from your own supply of fat. So it breaks down fat in your body. So you can literally have your own internal water supply. And you notice that by when you go to the toilet, you're like, wow, it must be working, because where's all this extra water coming from? So it's actually quite amazing. And when you think of the body and that it can actually metabolize itself that well. And I think that was the difference when I was researching on dry fasting and water fasting. The dry fasting, it turns on another switch in the body, which actually helps you to maintain all muscle mass. Like I feel like my body mass didn't really change, apart from the fat loss. I just feel really, and all the it's almost like you could just see cells coming out of you, if that makes sense. It was a really good cleansing experience. But then I did ask my body as well. I was communicating with my body the whole time I was going through this process. And then when it came to the 72 hours, I was like, could I go on? And it was like, yes, you can. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to though, but maybe next time I will. I'll see how I go with doing a bit longer. So you can actually do a dry fast for 7 days. Actually, people have done it for 11 or a little bit longer. I suppose it depends how much fat you have on your body. The more fat you have, or the more water reserves you have. I suppose it's like a camel's hump. The hump on a camel, it's not actually water, it's all fat. And the camel metabolizes its fat to have its own water reserves. And we have the same thing within us, that we, I suppose even by movies and by the media, we're told that we will die if we do not drink water. We will obviously eventually will, but we have a capacity just like a camel to be able to survive through our fat reserves. And if you think of it, we've been through evolution, of course we would. And if we had water, there would be food. So it actually makes sense that we have learned to metabolize our most efficient when there is no water and then no food, because it would make sense within our reality. Because if there's water, there's going to be things growing, there's going to be animals that we could kill and eat, or plants we could eat. But if we have no water, then there's going to be no animals, there's going to be no plants, and we're literally going to be in a barren desert with nothing. And yeah, I suppose it is true that if you were in the elements, if I was outside in the 35-degree heat with no water and no food, then maybe I would be in a lot of a mess here. But obviously in the safety of my own home, walking in the morning, and then sitting in baths. And the bath helps to kind of get rid of all the stuff that wants to come out your skin. The bath, it really helps to have a bath or a shower or just sit in the bath. and just let everything that needs to pour out of your skin come out of your skin. And you do actually feel quite hydrated from sat in the bath. I found the process to be quite so cleansing, way more than a dry fast. And it is reported that 1 day of a dry fast is equivalent to 3 days of a water fast. So you are getting way more cleansing and healing for your body within a dry fast. Also dumps a lot of the stem cells get released because the body is in so much kind of internal repair trauma in a way. But out externally, I felt more so relaxed, so present. Watched a few movies. It's a good thing to do, I suppose, if you can. By day 3, I was able to watch some movies. But yeah, that's overall is my experience. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. And oh yeah, should say as well that after that, when I started eating again, I started eating watermelon. It does say to drink bone broth or vegetable broth, but even on the taste of it, I felt like as I tasted the broth, it was like the flavor just went through every cell of my body, and I was like, ugh, it was really weird. I was like, I suppose I'm ultra clear anyway. I always eat really healthy and really clean, and all my water's really fresh and like really filtered. So it's like I was already quite clean before I went into the 3-day fast, and then to come out of it and literally be able to taste things through my entire flesh was pretty interesting. So I kept sticking to watermelon for the first day, well, the first from 4 p.m. on, and then even the next morning, I was like, oh, I only want watermelon. So I literally was mainly on watermelon, and then I was on mangoes, and then I went on to avocados, and mainly just on fruit. And a lot of it does say avoid fruit because it can up, it brings in the sugar. But I found it to be my body only wanted stuff that was alive and living. Again, communicate with your own body if you're going to go through this process. And obviously, I have to say that if you're going to go through this process, consult your doctor if you've got any medical conditions. But yeah, just sharing my experience on that and the sleep that came after that. So even when I went to sleep, the second night, when I woke up, even actually in the night, I woke up and I could just feel my body just healing, just so much stuff. I even feel like my posture has changed. I woke up with sleep in my eyes. Like my body just felt so relaxed and so rejuvenated. So I'm still continuing on the rejuvenation stage now. But yeah, I would definitely do it again. I might even go to 4 days next. Let's see how we go. So just sharing that with you. Please comment below if you want any more information, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.